All right, LSU football still in search of completing its roster for 2025, and we know that one of the places they are desperately searching is the secondary. My contention has been that they're not looking for a certain player. They're looking for a really good player, and they can be a little bit flexible, and I detailed last week why I think that Mansour Delane is kind of the X factor in that. If LSU finds a 6'2", 220-pound safety to plug in the back end that's really, really good, that's awesome. Mansour Delane can play corner. He can play down in the slot. That's great. If you find somebody that's an elite-level nickel, well, good. Then put him there at the nickel, and Delane can maybe go back and play some safety. I think he's the chess piece you can move around, so you're not looking at a cookie cutter here. You're just looking for really good players. And I do know that as of yesterday afternoon, that LSU had a good player on campus. That is Tamarcus Cooley. We talked last week about how the NC State defensive back would be on campus. He's 5'11", 205 pounds, and had a really good year at NC State. I wanted to check out the Pro Football Focus grades. And to be clear, as we talked about every Monday on this show, and as I wrote every Sunday on LouisianaSports.net, I realize what Pro Football Focus is. Sometimes it's really beneficial. Sometimes it may miss the mark. But, it's just a helpful it's easy to read, quite frankly. You can get a number graded to, how well they play. And Tamarcus Cooley's Pro Football Focus grades this year are really, really, really good. He was an 81.9 on defense. That would have been the second best defensive player on LSU's roster, right behind Braden Swinson. And it wasn't that he excelled just in one thing. Tamarcus Cooley graded 81.6 against the run. He graded 75.4 in tackling. Those are really high numbers. There are a lot of Pro Football Focus grades in the 50s and 60s. And I see some in the 20s at times. He's an 81.9 overall, an 81.6 run, 75.4 tackling, and more importantly to me. Now look, the run defense is important, tackling is important. You got to do that on defense. In coverage, he was an 83.4. He had 3 interceptions. He broke up 7 passes. These grades are excellent for him, and I think would be a really good addition should LSU be able to reel him in. Shea Dixon from 0-3 does an incredible job of covering recruiting, and one of the things he always says when he's on Matt's show or wherever you may find him, watch what recruits do, not what they say. And I think one of the biggest developments of this week was that Tamarcus Cooley went to Oxford and then went to Baton Rouge because he committed to Ole Miss in high school. There was an attraction there immediately. And then when he goes in the portal and you go to Oxford, you know that you're going to sit down with Lane Kiffin, you're going to see Vaught Hemingway, going to look at the football complex, they might take you out to the square, and eventually you're going to have a meeting with the Grove Collective and see how that goes. And for him to leave all of that and continue on and make that trip to Baton Rouge means it's not set in stone. And then you're going to meet with Brian Kelly, and you're going to tour football ops in Baton Rouge, and you're going to see Tiger Stadium, and then you're going to meet with Bayou Traditions. And now the fact that that meeting's going to happen or has happened, that's an encouraging sign for LSU. I don't know exactly where Tamarcus Cooley would fit into LSU's defense. Maybe he's a true safety that would go back there with Deshaun Spears. Maybe he's more of a nickel. I'm not sure. And that's really not of my concern right now. That's the coach's concern. My concern, and not really concern, that's the wrong word to use, but the more important storyline here is this is a good football player at a position of need that you have gotten to take a visit after the Ole Miss visit and give this a look. Now, whether he goes to Missouri for a visit, whether he goes to Kentucky for a visit, we'll see. I'm going to show my ego here and suggest that I'm not too concerned with Missouri or Kentucky. I don't think they're going to land him. If that happens, then I'll be surprised. Ole Miss can flex their muscles, and they've got 10-win seasons to show, and certainly Missouri's had a good go the last 2 years, relatively speaking. But I can't allow myself to sit here and think that, you've got LSU on the table and Missouri on the table, and LSU's apparently loaded for bear and NIL, so Missouri would either match it or come up a little bit short of that, and you would pick to go play football at Missouri. That's my ego showing. I'm aware of that. It is what it is. I think this is an LSU and Ole Miss battle based on just what I know about those two programs. And the fact that he got to Baton Rouge, I think, is a big deal for LSU. This is a big one for LSU to close. I think he's a starter. I think he's an impact player at either nickel or safety. The Pro Football Focus grades and the statistics show me that he can cover, he can play the run, he can tackle. I like it. None of these are slam dunks. I will, for the foreseeable time, talk about the difference between Jark Bernard Converse and Deuce Chestnut and how they had similar accolades and similar backgrounds, and one came here and excelled, went to the NFL. One came here, didn't work out, and went back to Syracuse. I can't guarantee that Tamarcus Cooley is a slam dunk. I like the odds, though, and hopefully LSU can slam that door. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.